Hi, I'm Brad Humphrey, and this is another Learning While Listening session. In today's podcast, I want to continue our discussion on the 7 steps to worker retention. Today's focus, the 90-day plan. Any contractor knows that retaining workers takes a huge effort. No leader is off the hook from working to keep workers on board and committed to staying with their employer. Interesting, new research demonstrates that even an employee peer group is quite influential to the new employee staying with their new employer longer. In our first discussion, we talked about how to retain our workers, and in that I introduced 7 steps that many contractors have embraced with success. Step 1, onboarding. Step 2, the 90-day plan, which is the one we will talk about today. Step 3, skill training. Step 4, coaching and mentoring. Step 5, engagement or participation. Step 6, responsibility and enhancement. And Step 7, performance review. While not every contractor excels at each of the steps, at some point they realize that all 7 of the steps are critical to any serious attempt to retain workers. And with the great shortage of workers for our construction industry currently in play, it's imperative that every contractor and senior leader consider what they might do to find, hire, and hold on to those precious assets we call employees. We'll pick up today then with our second step again to employee retention, something that I call the 90-day plan. The 90-day plan is a strategically developed action plan that lines out for a new worker what their first weeks with their new company will entail. Is there anything magical about 90 days? Well, sort of. Let me explain. For companies with greater than 50 employees, the attention paid to being more compliant with government employee standards is important. Most companies recognize that it is important to provide a period of about 90 days to allow there to be a thorough opportunity for the new worker to prove their potential to a company and to allow the employee to recognize if the company is the sort of company they would like to work for. Certainly, most contractors will tell you that they have their opinions formed about a new worker much sooner than 90 days. The fact is, allowing a probation time does allow for greater review, assessment, and prevents a rush to judgment. However, most companies that formally commit to a 90-day period of time, they will often fail to have any real plan for a new employee. I mean, come on, here's the typical first few days for a new employee. There's introductions to the coworkers and maybe even the leaders. There's usually a general orientation to company policies, handbooks, that kind of thing. Might take not more than an hour. But then it's, hey, let's go to work and let's figure things out. In other words, the employee is turned loose just to see what they can do to survive. Well, while what I just shared may be a little exaggerated, the efforts are not far off for many contractors of any size. Think about this reality for a newly hired employee. When they arrive for their first day of work, they have invisible antennae on high alert, listening, watching, and sensing anything and everything that confirms for them the decision that they made to join the new contractor. Personalities, smiles, tones of voices, jokes, manners, and amount of attention that they're given are all just a sample of the things that a new worker will be sensitive to experience. And when the new worker arrives at home after their first day at work, and if that worker has a spouse, a significant other, even just a roommate, you may be sure that at least one question will be asked of the new worker. How was your first day? Well, how that new employee answers this question is totally based on how they interpreted their first day of reading the workplace and the people they just spent time with. What sort of impression do you imagine would be realized by a new worker at your workplace on their first day? What would they think? This is why I developed something that I call simply the 90-day plan. It's not magic, but it does provide you with a bona fide strategy to share with your new workers on their very first day. Just imagine the positive first impression a new employee will have for your company if on their first day they received, as part of their first day of orientation, a well thought out plan for their first 90 days. Now, while such a plan might scare some new workers, it will more likely have a positive impact on the employee's mental attitude, as they clearly understand that you and your company are prepared for their preparation. The plan also sends a strong signal that they are expected to be better prepared to contribute sooner rather than later. While every 90-day plan created can be different for every new employee, there are probably several items that might appear on most of your new workers' first 90 days of work. Let me share with you just a sample of the 90-day plan for a crew foreman. Now, look more at the range of things that I'm going to present during the first 90 days rather than the specifics. Obviously, what you might create would be tailored to your organization and to the specific job that you hired the new employee to complete. For a copy of this, make sure you contact our organization, the Pinnacle Development Group. Let me share with you the 90-day plan for a crew foreman. Week 1, certainly general information about the company policies and a walkthrough of the employee handbook. Week 2, focus time discussing leadership skills and techniques. Week 3, focus time on job scheduling and planning. Week 4, training on construction math to improve calculating productivity rates and projected manpower. Week 5, review of company equipment, vehicles, tools, the needs for the tools and maintenance, and operating requirements. Week 6, discuss industry challenges and trends. Week 7, training on building teamwork for construction crews. Week 8, communication training to improve interactions with different personalities of workers. Week 9, training on coaching and counseling of employees. Week 10, review of material use, advantages, and options. Week 11, introduction to improving customer retention through satisfaction techniques. And Week 12, developing the crew foreman strategy for growing productivity, quality, and safety. Now, there are a few other secrets to making this approach much more beneficial to both the company and the individual. First, there should be a weekly pop quiz every Friday for the first 12 weeks. The pop quiz can be verbal or written and should not necessarily be conducted to flunk the new worker. In fact, just the opposite intent should be in play. For example, to have some fun with the new worker, the questions for the pop quiz at the end of the week 1 time period might include some of the following questions. A, where are the restrooms for the women and men? B, what are the hours of the company? C, what are the company colors? D, what type of construction did you experience this week? And E, what is the name of 2 employees you met this week? Now you can see from this list that I just shared with you that the first week's questions are really softball questions. They're not intended to trip up anyone, but simply to remind the worker that the company expects them to retain some of what they learned during their first week. Certainly the questions can become a bit more challenging as the weeks proceed. Second item you should have noticed, the worker should be engaged with work and their peers as soon as possible. Short of positioning a new worker in an unsafe work situation, the sooner the new worker can join their peers and begin to get a feel of the tasks involved, the better the worker will be motivated. While there may be some weekly topics for training or discussion, the contractor needs to expose the new worker to their specialty of construction as quickly as possible, even if the new worker comes from a similar background. The contractor must demonstrate why their company is different from the company the new worker just left. Third, the new worker should have a partner while at the workplace for the first 12 weeks. The partner might be a fellow crew or department worker, but the more important role is for the partner to check in with the new worker at least once a day to see how the newbie is getting along. Such extra attention can really go far in winning the new worker over to the culture of the contractor, and such a relationship also provides the contractor with another employee's opinion about the new worker. A fourth learning lesson here is a lessons learned report from the new worker. Like the pop quiz addressed earlier, contractors can gently push new workers to be more alert and interested in learning their new role. Here's what I would recommend a contractor ask from the new worker to verbally report to their senior leader each Friday, just before the quiz. Have the new worker answer the following 3 questions. 1, what did you learn this week? Number 2, what did you learn that will improve your performance or behavior in your job? And number 3, what did you learn that will help this company or your crew or the project team be better? The questions are simple and really allow the new worker to demonstrate their awareness and their attention to what was presented them during the week. A contractor might be surprised at how many new workers, even management level, sleepwalk during their first few weeks. It's almost as if the new worker is enjoying their lack of accountability. Well, the 90-day plan will not cure all of your new employee learning needs, but it will set your construction company apart from many of your competitors. And remember, the key is to tailor this 12 weeks. You do not have to put out every single action they're going to take, but rather give the themes or the items that you definitely want to make sure are addressed during each week for the first 12 weeks. Put them in the jobs, get them that safety training, get them that technical skill training, but make sure that you let them see that there is a pathway for their first 90 days. Remember, raising the excellence at your company can be done through a number of means. The 90-day plan is just another good method of building long-term employees. Hey, make the first 90 days work for you and your new workers. Good luck.